Oh, welcome back, Dota 2 fans. Game 3, Star Ladder TV, Pro Series Season 11. This is the lower bracket, and the loser goes home. Qntk versus Scary Faces. Qntk taking Game 1. Scary Faces taking Game 2. I am Morris Pease, your resident Canadian Dota 2 caster, joined by Mike Loris. We are HeflaTV. Mike, what are your thoughts on this Game 3 after watching two pretty dominant victories from either side in Game 1 and Game 2?
Man, Game 1 was just a lack of performance from Scary Face with the draft they had. They drafted something different, and as I said, if they draft something different, it'll force them to play differently, and it worked out very well for them. For Qntk, it was really just a really bad laning decision. Like, the Skywrath Mage, Terrorblade dual lane up against a whole bunch of Magic Burst is not good times. It's not really what you want to be doing, and from there, they were starting the game from behind, and that's less than ideal in any given game, but it was nigh impossible for them to claw their way back from that deficit. So Qntk maybe just look to their lanes a little bit more. It was decent lanes for the first game, and maybe they just need to make sure that they don't have that inherent weakness, because the lane where they should have had the power, the OD versus Omni Knight lane, that didn't even go well. The Mirana and Shadow Demon lane versus the Faceless Void, that went okay for the Mirana, but it's just not good enough.
Yeah, they were able to ignore that TB while feeding off the other four just because they knew they had the trump card that is the GA versus that Terrorblade, and we saw despite how farmed he was in that last engagement, he just wasn't able to do anything with the Aghanim's Guardian Angel that completely overlapped his BKB duration. He did no damage during it, and as soon as that was down, they were able to blow him up and disable him, not allow him to get the Sunder off. But nonetheless, Qntk will start off with the Broodmother, as they have, banning that in the Game 1 and Game 2. They'll ban out the Omni Knight in this one, though. Scary Faces will go back for this Lina pick, so we'll see if a Bash picks this up once again in the support role, or if they try to run it as a core here. They'll opt for the Brewmaster and the Zeus bans in Phase 1.
Earth Shaker.
So Qntk going to go right back to Game 1, grab the Shaker, and, well, the Shaker performance in Game 1 was pretty darn impressive, so we can only hope for Qntk's sake that the Shaker is going to be just as good. Yeah, it was them running Shaker. Yeah, okay, it was. So Shaker, a pretty solid pickup, is very similar to what we see in game number 1, where I believe they first picked this hero again. Lina as the first pick for Scary Faces, I mean, it worked so well in the last game, it's very easy to say, okay, we're just going to go for it again.
Right.
She does still have her weaknesses. If she's on the offensive, she's fantastic. If she's on the defensive, she tends to be a lot less strong. So it might just be that this Lina first pick is not going to bear fruit at all.
Yeah, Earthshaker Skywrath combo going to be picked up here from Qntk, so that was a little bit more popular a couple of months ago in Pro Dota. Still a very potent roaming combo, of course. Earthshaker can roam around and allow the Skywrath to get some farm in lane. He's pretty good at zoning out, and we will see the Pudge pickup from Scary Faces. So we talked about the ban before from Qntk, as well as Central of Fear against Scary Faces, so it'll be interesting to see if this is State 21, Quista, or Shadowway playing this core Pudge role. But either way, it must be the somewhat of a respect ban, because we have seen it come out a couple of times, and the first time it does slip through, Scary Faces will grab that up along with the Lina. So it will be interesting to see how the Qntk fares in a deciding Game 3, no holds barred here from Scary Faces.
Not really sure how the Pudge Lina opening is supposed to perform. I can only assume it's going to be just pretty standard support Lina. Most often seen Pudge actually off lane. I think it was Leviathan that do that the most. Yeah. But, I mean, there's not that much of a sample size there, so who knows how this Pudge is going to be laning. We see Bloodseeker being banned out once again from Qntk. So, Pudge Lina, they are able to assassinate people very, very easily. If Qntk are low on the mobility, if their Shaker isn't available in the area, then a hook into an LSA Dragon Slave is generally going to be a kill. Dismember guarantees it to be a kill unless you're trying to go for a Centaur or a Tidehunter or something like that. But this is a very dangerous combo right now from Scary Faces. Maybe not so much in lane, but once the Pudge actually gets to that level 7 mark, and once he actually decides to roam around and look for action, then if he's joined by a Lina, if he's joined by any other support hero, a Vengeful Spirit would be a nice one just to effectively ban that out from Qntk in case they'd want to run something weird. But they have their pick of supports right now, and pretty much no matter who they get, it's going to work out really well.
Yeah, Void and the Juggernaut banned out by Scary Faces. Two heroes that you don't necessarily want to hook in. One can drop the Chrono, the other the Omni Slash, and also just some very strong cores. Of course, Scary Faces did run that Void for themselves last game on Shadowway. Wasn't the most standout player, but did drop some nice Chronos. They had covered him with the Global Silence. They also had the GA there, so definitely a team effort from Scary Faces last time, but they won't allow Qntk to get back on the Void as they had in game 1 for Darkness of an Abyss. Bloodseeker is going to be banned out. Interesting ban there from Qntk. They're contemplating the next ban, so perhaps looking for some direction in their draft here. Viper is going to be their ban. Not really sure. He throws a wrench into their plans at this point with only the support duo picked up for them, but they do have quite a few things to grab up here. They're going to pick up the Clock, so this was banned out by Scary Faces last game. Perhaps they do play it fairly often on T-Bon in the off lane, but it'll be interesting to see how they're able to make that work out. He is pretty good versus the Lina, as her cast animations aren't the quickest for LSA, but with Clockwork, definitely a feast or famine pick.
And is fantastic against Lina, but I think he's even better against the Pudge. Like, if you get hooked, you just spam that battery assault, and most of the time, you're not going to die, at least not to the Dismember. And if your ally gets hooked in, then you want someone like Clockwork, like Earthshaker on your team, so that well, you lose your Skywrath Mage to the Pudge. Let's say you throw a Fissure, you throw the hook shot, suddenly the Skywrath Mage has a chance of surviving. If he just turns around for a seal, Mystic Flare, you actually have a chance of turning around getting a kill, just because Qntk have a lot of mobility or a lot of effective range with all their heroes. As nice as it is to pull someone out of position, if the enemy heroes have so much effective range, then it's going to be that much harder to truly bring them out of position. So I really like this Clockwork pick here for Qntk. It's going to be decent with the Skywrath Mage as well. You get the Cogs into a Mystic Flare combination, and well, that has been known to slay a few heroes. So it's a really solid pickup for Qntk. And well, Scary Faces, there's not much that they could actually do to play around this Clockwork as far as picks are concerned. No real hard counters there, but they just have to make sure to lock him down in lane. With the Lina to start things out, it certainly is very possible.
Yeah, it also definitely opens things up for them to go aggressive here and put a solid solo safe laner as well. Get the Clockwork some early farm, perhaps get an Aghanims up for that spam ability of the hook shot. They can have it pretty much on the same cooldown as the hook. As you mentioned, it is a very potent counter initiation tool alongside the Fissure to re-engage off of a Pudge's initiation. We will see Scary Faces pick up some counter initiation and initiation power of their own with the Puck here. It does very well versus the Skywrath, pretty much able to blow him up, but also fairly poorly versus the Skywrath if Qntk's able to get the jump off. Ancient Seal absolutely wrecks Puck. Puck really relies on her elusiveness with the phase shift and the jaunt out from the illusory orb, so that 6-second instant cast silence may spell doom for this Puck in more engagements than not.
Puck is a decent counter to the Clockwork in that his evasiveness generally does tend to keep him safe, but Skywrath Mage is a hero that we see in response to Puck often, and if you do land that silence, as you said, it's going to be bad times for the Puck, and it's a very aggressively oriented lineup in Scary Faces in that if they are always on the aggressive, then they're going to be doing fantastically, but once they are forced to play defensively, then a lot of their power is just out the window. Their ability to take a run and gun fight isn't quite there. Lina does it decently, but the Puck does it okay as well, but Pudge certainly not going to be that hero. For Qntk, they're running out of time, and it's going to be a Pugna pick for them. Now, that's an interesting one. Usually we see Pugnas being partnered up with other pushers, but, I mean, none of these other heroes for Qntk are what I would consider pushing heroes. The Nether Ward is good against Pugna Lina to punish them, but Pugna is food for Pudge. Very easy food.
Yeah, definitely so. Will be interesting there to see how that works out. Netherward not bad versus the Lina and the Puck, but definitely decrepping an ally, not really something you want to be doing versus a Lina, buffing up that Laguna Blade. Not too much physical damage coming out from Scary Faces, but speaking of which, Exorcism gonna be supplementing that problem for Scary Faces, and if you look to decrep an ally to get away from that Exorcism with the Death Prophet, probably be pretty quick movement speed on there. They'll be able to Laguna Blade you to death, so that's probably not a good idea for this Pugna. Also, the Clockwork hooks in on the DP, popping that Exorcism pretty darn good in the small range there, so definitely a nice pickup for Scary Faces. I really like the direction they went with that one.
Yeah, so Death Prophet also going to be another ban out, as Pugna Death Prophet is a throwback draft, I suppose, a little bit, but it is certainly able to end games very quickly if you're not prepared for the amount of pushing that you are going to be under. Scary Faces, they just need another support hero. It seems, unless they, well, it seems like Qntk knows something that we don't. Drought Ranger would be okay here for Scary Faces, I suppose, but it would mean a support Pudge, which is always a little bit sketch. But either way, Qntk, they have to pick up a hero to actually synergize well with this Pugna, because right now it just seems like they have two drafts going on right now with the Clockwork, Skywrath, Earthshaker, and then you got the Pugna, who's just kind of there.
Yeah, so not so much synergy there. Cogs do help with the Life Drain and the Nether Blast. He'll allow him to get it off fully on a target. But either way, yeah, it's certainly something that doesn't quite fit. But yeah, I agree with you. The Pudge probably would be pretty underwhelming in a support role, especially with the Lina, with only an unreliable disable to couple up that with. And they will go for some sustain and some late game for Qntk with that Necrophos, but Huskar going to be very, very effective versus all this magic damage. It will be Eknard on the support Pudge here, but the Huskar, the trump card for Quista, will be very interesting to see how they make that work out of the safe lane.
Right, there is pretty much no physical damage here from Qntk. Shaker and Enchant Totem, their hopes and dreams, I suppose. But I mean, yeah, they could bring the Huskar down pretty low. Scythe him, that probably won't do jack when he's attacking like almost complete immunity to the magic damage that you're throwing at him, and Pugna's not going to be doing anything either. So it's a very niche hero pick. It's a very uncommonly seen hero, this Huskar, but I can't really think of a scenario where he would be any better. This is peak Huskar right now. So though they are running with a Huskar, they're running with a support Pudge. I gotta say, I really like Scary Faces draft a lot more than I like Qntk's. If Qntk had not Pugna, someone else, anyone else, then I would say Qntk probably have a safer draft, but I just can't say that right now.
I mean, they do have the push power offered by the Pugna, but I really have to agree, I don't really see this Huskar dying unless he makes a crucial and really flagrant misstep here. Things looking very good for his survivability throughout the game, as long as he maxes out that Berserker's Blood, which he probably will opt to do so. They do have so much spread damage as well from Scary Faces, with the physical coming out from the DP, the burst from the Lina and the Puck, and of course the Pudge to screw things up in terms of grabbing a hero over with his hook. If they are able to pull in a hero there, he will die and die quickly, so definitely worrisome for Qntk. They probably don't want to hook that Clockwork in more often than not into all this close range damage burst, and from the Exorcism that is relied on the travel distance, and so if you bring yourself in extremely close, the Exorcism ticks very quickly and very hard. So we'll probably see the DP go towards mid for State 21. Quista going towards the safe lane. Eknart going to play on presumably a 4-position Pudge, a Bash on the 5, Lina and Shadowway towards the off lane on the Puck for Scary Faces.
And Qntk, they're doing a little bit of hero shuffling right now. Not sure how it's ultimately going to land, but it looks like they're stopping. So let's see what we got. We got Darkness of an Abyss playing the Shaker. I Am Exo is on the Necrophos with Tibon on the Clockwork. The Pugna is going to be played by Axnar, and Giedrox is on the support Skywrath Mage. So, yeah, Necrophos support? Or is this just one of those cases where you need someone who's comfortable with Necrophos and then you swap it up accordingly?
Well, I mean, even though you said it with some satire, Enchant Totem really is their hopes and dreams in this one. They have no way to bring down the Huskar aside from some physical damage, and I feel like they opted to make this Earthshaker played in a core role for that reason and that reason alone. And they do have a lot of bursts for other heroes here, but yeah, bringing down the Huskar with a lot of stacks of Berserker's Blood is going to be a very tall task with heroes like the Pugna and the Necrophos, as you said. Reaper Scythe,
they're still going. It's not. I don't think we're right. It's not gonna stop.
T-Von swapped over with the Pugna. Perhaps they support Pugna now.
No.
Darkness.
Oh yeah. And then this makes a little bit more sense, I think.
Well, Giedrox. So maybe a core Skywrath here. A little bit of musical chairs from Qntk. Either way, I'm not a huge fan of Core Shaker in general, but I don't feel like they have any other choice. I feel like that Huskar pick really backed them into a corner here. So well drafted by Scary Faces in that last phase.
And Core Shaker, as far as his laning stage is concerned, is far from the strongest hero. And up against the possible opponents in lane, if he's going towards mid, which usually Core Shakers do go towards, Puck is not a good matchup. Death Prophet is a really bad matchup, and Huskar is the worst matchup you could possibly ask for ever. There is no good scenario here for the Earthshaker unless Scary Faces put Lina mid or Pudge mid, and I mean, it's possible, I suppose, but even then it's not going to be the cleanest for the Earthshaker. It's going to be a really dangerous time if it is in fact going to be Earthshaker heading towards the mid lane. And it's not only just him either. Like, Scary Faces have a hell of a lot of power within their lane control, and Qntk, they have some decent ways of working around that, but man, they're fragile. They're very fragile, with the exception of Giedrox on the Clockworker. Giedrox right now on the Clockwork. Everyone else from Qntk is going to be at the mercy of Scary Faces. If Hook lands, they get a kill, almost on no questions asked.
Yeah, definitely so. And Scary Faces, well, I mean, their lanes seem to be a little bit more set in stone. They haven't shuffled around at all, and they're not going to give a gift over, as you spoke of, in the mid lane to Qntk. It looks like it will be State 21 taking that up with the Null Talisman 2 GG branches and the pooled tangos in his inventory. Eknark going to start with boots first and an Observer Ward, looking for a little bit of roam on this Pudge, perhaps Quista. On the Huskar, perhaps they're going to try and contest him very early on before he gets up that Berserker's Blood, but it looks like it will be Giedrox going solo towards the offlane on the Clockwork, so Huskar should have a great time finding his farm and become extremely potent mid-game.
And if we look at T-Bon's opening build, Gloves of Haste, this is pretty darn greedy, except for just like straight up rushing a Midas without buying anything. But Necrophos with the Gloves of Haste, actually it doesn't make a difference, so I don't know what I'm talking about, but Gloves of Haste on the Necrophos, not going to help him too much in the lane. He's joined by the Pugna right now, who is also going for a very peculiar build. 2 Iron Branches, 1 Tango. That indicates a bottle rush, but how is it actually going to work out? You know what? It's probably better if we just don't talk about the possibilities and see what they do, and then look at that from there. But I mean, for Scary Faces, it seems pretty cut and dry. Put the Death Prophet in the mid lane, Puck off lane, then you have a very, very dangerous tri-lane. Huskar and Lina is really dangerous enough. Add a Pudge into that, and things get really hairy. Pudge looking for that hook to start things off, and he's just barely going to miss versus that Pug up. They're going to start with the fire onto Giedrox. LSA is going to fly wide, and Boots first on the Clockwork, maybe helping him out of that situation. It's a double bounty rune for Qntk, but that's going to be pretty necessary if they want to have a decent chance in this laning stage.
And I'm still wondering where the Necrophos is going at this point. T-Bon usually the offlane pair, but I guess, as you mentioned, Giedrox just a little bit more comfortable on that Clockwork. It looks like he will rotate down to the safe lane and was just here to contest the rune for the time being. It's going to be shot away on the Puck by himself in the off lane, and they don't have too much kill potential with him until they get up the Ancient Seal, and right now it's just an Arcane Bolt. He's gonna be able to phase shift that pretty reliably. It will be Darkness on the 1 position safe lane Earthshaker.
And T-Bon is jungling as the Necrophos. This is the first time I've seen it. It doesn't seem like it'll work out too well. Heartstopper Aura, it does do quite a bit of damage over time, but it's slow, like glacial slow. And take a quick look at the creep camps. Unfortunately, he drew a Satyr Tormentor, so health regen usually is completely irrelevant, but in this particular game, going to be the bane of the jungle Necrophos. It's incredibly greedy, and SFZ, they can punish this so easily if they actually decide to send anyone down there. Maybe they're going to do that, maybe not, but either way, this Necrophos isn't really going to be getting too huge anytime soon. It's going to mean that Giedrox is up on top lane. He's suffering. He's not getting that much of anything. I guess it means that they get both a Core Shaker and a Core Pugna and maybe a Necrophos down the line, but this is just so freaking weird. And again, it's a justification so that Earthshaker gets a little bit more farm, so that his Enchant Totem is more of a useful skill than it ordinarily is, but this is a pretty large concession to that.
Yeah, Shadowway not doing bad in the bottom lane on the Puck. No CS found yet, but already the level 2 there. Giedrox also doing fairly well, but much less in experience. He's been zoned out a little bit more as he is a melee and doesn't have the ability like a phase shift. He does have the cogs, however. And we will see a bottled of a regen rune here for Axnar, so that'll help him spam out some Nether Blast in this mid lane. State 21 already pretty low, opting for that early Null Talisman, and is having the bottle ferried out now for him, so that will help him stay in the lane. But Axnar gonna accrue a little bit of an advantage here as he is out of lane, or at least catch up in terms of CS.
And Puck is not really doing too terribly on this bottom lane right now. Scarith Mage got into a couple fistfights with the Puck, and that's not really something that you want to be doing over the long stretch, because Shaker can't really help out too much right now, only being level 2. Can throw a fissure, but that's about it. And Puck is feeling pretty comfortable right now. In fact, putting a lot of damage into the Shaker. That's going to be a salve forced by this Puck, and it's just a Puck doing well versus 2 heroes. And then you have top lane where Giedrox is getting very little, if anything, at all. Still no hooks have landed, no real attempts at aggression over. Oh, bottom lane though, Puck is going to dive deep for that one. Wow. Okay, I left just because I thought, okay, you back up Shaker, you salve,
well.
fine. But Puck really wanted that kill, and it costed him his life, and that's first blood.
Yeah, that first level Ancient Seal probably used, and he wasn't able to phase shift after the John, I guess. And 3-second stun, instant cast, pretty good versus a hero like Puck, relying on their elusiveness. Still level 3, but feeding over that kill, definitely not something you want to be doing when you are getting that much out of the off lane. And interesting play from Shadow A, got a little bit too confident there. Can look for a kill now, perhaps. There is no regen left in this lane. And there is a very low mana, so perhaps if she clicks, she knows now that things are a little bit more of an ideal situation for the kill. But still, Ancient Seal is up as the Skywrath does rotate out of lane by a Dire Observer Ward. Maybe Shadow A dives for this now, and he'll think better of it as the Enchant Totem is there to follow up the jaunt.
Well, the Puck's not in any rush to get anything done. Of course, getting kills is better than not getting kills, but right now he just wants to get more experience so that he gets more nuking. It's always kind of disappointing when you jump in, land the orb, land the silence, and realize, oh wait, no, I only have 3 points into these aggressive skills, and they actually don't do that much damage. So Puck shouldn't be in any huge rush to put himself in danger to try to get these kills, especially after dying once. Like, he tried it once, it didn't work, he probably shouldn't try it again. So means Shaker's going to get a little more experience, going to prioritize the Enchant Totem as expected. But yeah, the Puck is doing decently fine here, and well, State, his tower is getting pushed pretty aggressively. The Pugna with the level 3 blast is putting some serious damage in, and Death Prophet, though she is outlast hitting the Pugna, there's not much that she could do outside of just spamming Crypt Swarm in order to keep her tower alive. Slowly but surely that tower is going to go down, reminiscent of the Jakiro that we saw in game number 1, except maybe a little more effective.
Yeah, the Jakiro not utilized to his full potential for sure. Eknart rotating over the mid with a level 2 hook, 1100 range on that. Haste rune though is up on Axnar. It is nighttime, however, so Axnar doesn't have any idea that this Pudge is waiting in the wings looking for something, but will back off to the high ground and going to be safe for the time being, looking to block back his wave, almost level 6. But Eknart rotating in now, does plant that high ground ward. That'll give him some nice vision as to the positioning of the Pugna, who's currently sitting on the high ground but is behind a wave of units. Will perhaps make himself vulnerable to the left here, but is playing fairly safe. Hook's gonna land though. There's the rot as well. They're gonna have a Crypt Swarm, and that'll finish off the Pugna. Well played by Eknart. That'll almost give him his level 4 and almost give State 21 the level 7 for that max Witchcraft or the Crypt Swarm if she opts for that. Usually see the exorcism built around level 8 or 9. So rotations down to the 6-minute rune from Darkness as well as IMXO. And that's going to allow Shadow 8 to farm the wave out as they find this to fill up the bottle of Darkness. But top rune will be secured by Eknard in State 21 for the Death Prophet. And that's an invis going the way of State 21. So perhaps can look to make something happen with that fairly soon.
1100 range on a level 2 hook. If it's anything else, that hook would not have landed, or at least would have been a lot closer. So Pudge making good on his range, and that was pretty much right on the edge. Doesn't get any closer than that. So that's the utility that Pudge does offer if you manage to land those hooks. And it's not every day that you'll see those hooks land, but when they do, it's pretty easy to get those kills. We now see a smoke up from Pudge. He is not spotted with this smoke, and it's going to be a straight gank towards the Pugna, who's already pretty much dead. So that was pretty easy. Walk in for a hook, and Pugna, I suppose, was trying to put some more blasts into the tower and ended up drawing aggro. Either way, Pudge making a second kill happen on this Pugna, and it's going to give State that much more presence in the lane. But all the while this is happening, Necrophos, he's picked up a Man Midas 7 minutes in. It's not too terrible, and I would expect a lot less from a jungling Necrophos who's only reserved to pretty much 2 camps. Maybe it's going to work out for him. I mean, with the Hand of Midas, your clearing becomes so much easier.
Yeah, definitely so, and it's a little bit impressive for me. He's going to run into Shadow A now, though. Shadow A going to back off, a little bit too deep behind enemy lines. And Qntk, though, free farming completely, 12-13 CS more than the laning equivalent in Darkness of the Abyss's Earthshaker. So it shows you how really innocuous this Clockwork has been in this lane. Has been able to find his level 5, but only 6 last hits. No harass put into anyone in this lane, and it shows you the power of a puck also, of course, against a dual lane versus a tri-lane with that jungling Necro. We'll see Eknard on the high ground mid. He's going to do some de-warding, so the Pugna does know he is present, but he will take away some vision, much needed vision from the Radiant side here. And he's just going to stand in lane with his presence. That'll force Axnar out to the east. He'll go to find the bounty rune bottom, and he will be successful at doing so. Smoke going to be ferried out by the puck here. Darkness of the Abyss going to run into Shadow A, but doesn't seem like much is going to happen. He'll be able to get Ancient Sealed up before jaunting away, though, and he probably will pay with his life here. There's no Illusory Orb mana for that. He will phase shift the Enchant Totem, try to salve up, but should be falling here shortly. The Illusory Orb is only a little bit of mana away. He'll have to phase shift the Arcane, which is not disjointable, so he's a little too early on the trigger there. Either way, probably would have died. Stake 21 rotating in to try and find Axnar. He will hit him with a Crypt Swarm. The illusions are already there to do some right-click damage, but Stake 21 not going to find the kill. Axnar going to be able to bottle up here. Nice little kill on Shadow A for Qntk, but Scary Face is still looking very good in this early game.
Yeah, they just have to stay the course. Their Huskar has not been touched at all right now, and if you get free farm to a Huskar or an Earthshaker, Huskar most of the time is going to be doing a little bit more with stead farm, especially when he gets to jump in onto Giedrox. Inside the cogs, you're not safe. He's going to drop. Very easily done by the duo of Bash and Qntk up towards the top lane. That's going to be an armlet build for the Huskar. So he is going for a very cost-effective build, a build that is going to spell aggression more towards the early end than the late. Oh, and it's just an armlet for Huskar. It's a ridiculous item on the hero. It will be getting quite a bit of traction. We see a hook being thrown, and it looks like it landed onto the Pugna, getting a lot of damage. We'll blast down Eknard. We'll get the kill in response, but now the ultimate from the Death Prophet is up. Not quite enough durability. Here comes the Scythe out of the jungle. T-Bon's going to snag that kill. Death Prophet and Pudge going down in exchange for their Pugna. So that's a worthwhile trade for Qntk to make, though it did take quite a bit of rotations. They get the Scythe kill on the Death Prophet. She's down for a very long time.
Yeah, Qntk going to pressure the tower along with a Bash top lane. In terms of the TP situation, they do have TPs on the Earthshaker as well as the Pugna, and looks like Qntk going to back off for the time being. Immediate smoke from Giedrox. He's got the hook at the ready as well. Double damage bottled here by Darkness of the Abyss, and perhaps some connectivity issues for the side of Qntk.
That's some nice spear throwing, Huskar. That's how that works.
Either way, Qntk farming very well. As you mentioned, Armlet going to be complete now, 10 minutes in, and he's level 7, almost level 8. Mid lane, looks like Eknard being wrapped on by Giedrox. He's got the hook ready. He is going to stop cast it for the moment, and waiting for Eknard to show himself. Hook is going to whiff from Giedrox, unfortunately for him. Eknard going to survive for the time being. He's looking to find his Dismember. He does. He's got that level 6 now, ever so needed. And Shadow A also found the coil. Level 7, 1100 gold, 10 minutes in. Doing very well for having died twice in that off lane. And Qntk will bring down the tier 1. And the last hit did go his way as well in that Radiant off lane.
Alright, so it's not surprisingly the Scary Faces heroes getting a little bit more net worth. The Roaming Pudge doing a decent job so far. Lina mostly on pulling duty, but she's also packing the level 6. So if they see this Clockwork, if they dive in with the Life Break, then things get really bad for the Clockwork very, very quickly, especially with the damage output from the Armlet and the Power Treads. This top lane push is going to be slow and steady. Shadow Wave going to rotate in. With the coil, he's looking for an opening onto Giedrox, and he has an opportunity right now. He will botch that opportunity. Coil whiffed. That's a little bit of sad times for the puck, but they still have a whole bunch of heroes here. If they really, really want to, they can still stick around and try to make something happen, though it does seem a little bit risky and unnecessarily so. They could probably just go for a mid lane tower. Exorcism not quite up yet, but they don't really need it. It's so weak anyway.
Yeah, hopefully Giedrox doesn't show his face for his sake here. Eknart scouting around, looking to find something, places a nice deep cliff ward here. He'll see Darkness of the Abyss rotating in. Hook is going to land. There's the Echo Slam instantly, though. Laguna Blade will hit Dismember as well. Eknart going to be just fine. It was a solo Echo Slam. And they will bring down the highest net worth target in the Earthshaker. Actually, he's just below the Necrophos at this point, so the mine is certainly paying dividends there. But the top two owned by Qntk, and perhaps they look to continue the push on this tower with Quista on the front lines. Eknart looking to find a hook from the high ground there. They probably are privy to this ward spot, knowing that the Earthshaker was hooked there. And he can look to find something, but he will walk out through this path to the north, and they will look to just find a tower push, perhaps actually a bash, and Eknart gonna rotate back. TPs to the bottom lane from Eknart mid lane. Gonna have some support from Giedrox here behind Axnar. Perhaps they group up as 4, look for this mid lane tier 1, which is fairly weak, sitting at 321 HP.
And top lane, that observer ward so deadly right now to Qntk because it's nighttime. They don't really have that much vision in the area. Earthshaker with a blink dagger, maybe looking for Quista, but he can't do this versus the Huskar. He is certainly more vulnerable to the Earthshaker than to some of the other heroes, but he still has quite a bit of survivability. Here comes TP in. Fissure's going to start things off, and Darkness has to blink in. He's going to land the hit on Quista. Mystic Flare is there as well, but he's going to turn around and annihilate the Skywrath Mage. Or not quite yet. Here comes the hookshot from Giedrox, actually. Life break into the trees now. Quista going to do a little bit of armor toggling, but he actually turns it off. And now it's going to be chased forward for a bash. Going to try to TP his way out of here. Giedrox looking for a single stun. He will get it. And they end up walking away with the 1-for-2 trade in favor of Qntk. Shaker very lucky to get out of there alive. If the armlet was on, that could have been so much easier, but it seems like Huskar just messed that up a little bit. Stay in the meantime with Eknart are going to kill off the Necrophos. They have Exorcism available, but this tower should drop without it. Overall, making it a pretty decent trade for Scary Faces.
Yeah, they lost a lot in that top lane in the Huskar for a Skywrath Mage, as well as the Lina. Nice deny coming out from Axnar, but very good patience on the silence from State 21. Good dodge on the Fissure as well. He'll get decrept, though. He'll probably fall here, too. The life drain actually barely makes it above the high ground and will make it away. Eknart going to stop the creep wave from aggressing onto his Death Prophet as well. So great patience on the silence there, waiting just another second for the Scythe as Shadowway picks off Darkness of an Abyss with a coil Illusory Orb waning Rift combo. Nicely played by him. He's got 2,300 gold. That'll give him enough for his blink, and he'll pick that up on the Courier and curry that over right now. So that's a nice little pick off and a win across the map for Scary Faces despite that tier 1 deny.
Quista's dueling Roshan. In the meantime, IMXO is going to see a bash cast into the Roshan pit, so they know exactly what's going on, but do they want to dive into a Huskar with almost maxed out Berserker's blood? It's going to be really hard to do unless they snipe with a rocket flare. Now that'll be embarrassing, but he's going to drop the Mystic Flare, won't do too much to Huskar. In fact, Roshan probably doing more. Now Aegis grabbed by Huskar. This is not a fight that Qntk really want to take. Blink forward, no coil though, and Exorcism is also used. Hook forward will also miss. SFZ, can they miss with anything else? Is it actually possible? Quista chasing forward, looking to go for the Necrophos. Won't decide to engage there. Shaker gonna leave to the right. It's fine, I guess, but they end up wasting the Exorcism. It's gonna be Giedrox to get focused. He's gonna run into Quista. He's gonna burn down. Throw out a hook shot because why not? But still, this Huskar is alive, and he's gonna spot out Tibon. Hook back, and now Eknart is gonna draw him right back into the death zone. That's one more kill. Exorcism still active, and they jump in for an Echo Slam, which will kill off Lina and the punch shortly after. But Quista's still alive, has the Aegis now to rely on. Shaker and Pugna have to get the hell out of here, or else they're just going to die. And I think they're just going to die anyway. At least the Shaker is. Pugna off to the left is going to be A-OK. The Aegis being used by SFZ. It looked like that was a clean disengage from Qntk, but they decided to stick around for a little bit too long with a couple too many heroes, and they end up paying a price.
Yeah, 4 for 2 plus an Aegis. Nice swing, 1,500 experience, and about the same in net worth. Excuse me, going the way of Scary Faces. They keep Quista up as well. He's got 2,100 gold on top of his H-Dom, so he can build into his next item. Perhaps he looks to go something like an AC at this point, but of course can just look to build into the BKB and just wreck everyone, although not too much physical damage coming out, so the AC probably not his next choice either way. Quista looking very good, sitting on level 11, top of the charts with the Pugna, as well as State 21 on the DP. Every other hero in the game level 9 and 8, so he will look to find this tier 1 bottom. Glyph is available, should be popped here by Qntk, and it is. But Quista should find this pretty much uncontested TP situation for Qntk. They have all 5, but doesn't look like they're willing to take this. They're going to trade the mid tier 1 for now. Meanwhile, Darkness of the Abyss, 1 position Earthshaker, going to be picked off in the top lane to the trio of Shadow Ace, State 21, and a Bash. Laguna Blade used for that one.
It seems like it's just a game where SFZ are just going around the map, collecting a little bit more every single time. Even their Lina, playing as a support role, is well on her way to her Yule Scepter. And once that happens, and she's level 10, very close to that level 2 Laguna Blade, and then she could set up for kills pretty much by herself. Like someone like Pugna, he gets the mech off maybe if he's lucky, but that's not really going to save him effectively enough versus a Lina combo, especially if she has any backup available. So things are getting really bad for Qntk really quickly, and they're still doing decent on the net worth, but the Pugna so far, his pushing has resulted in 1 tower destruction in the mid lane, and that's it. The Necrophos hasn't really been doing that much because it's just been jungling, and Shaker has a very limited impact, if any. It's really a hit or miss. Quista is just a juggernaut right now, and he's going to go straight for a Satanic. Like, how could they kill this Huskar? Like, before, it was really difficult to kill him. It's getting to impossible territory right now. They have to find some sort of physical damage or just try to brute force him with magic, but that's just so impossible.
Yeah, they don't really have enough disable as well. I mean, they have the Ancient Seal, they have the Earthshaker's toolkit, but in terms of hard stuns, he's going to be able to get off that lifesteal most of the time. They can decrep him so he's not able to attack. Nice Fisher block top lane is going to allow Darkness to try and find the bounty rune, but Shadowway will blink forward. He's going to bait it out for the time being. He'll actually orb backwards, so they do know that a lot of the members of Qntk are here by virtue of this cliff ward. Hook forward is going to miss from Giedrox, and he will not find a Bash in this top lane, who is looking to build into a Yule's of her own. Is about 875 gold away from that. Actually, it's on the courier, so Quista also building into an urn if he didn't need any other items. He's going to heal up bottom lane. He's going to catch an Echo Slam, however. He'll pop the armlet, jump right into Darkness of Abyss, who will get mech'd up for the time being, but Quista just manning up against 3, and he will be a little bit too short. He will take the Earthshaker with him, but he'll fall here. Shadowway not willing to engage off of that 3 versus 1, as Quista just not surviving long enough, and that's a big feed over to 4 heroes. Actually, Earthshaker even finding the experience, being up, ticking down afterwards, so 2,000 XP going the way of distributed through 4 heroes of Qntk.
Okay, so what I was saying before about Huskar being impossible to kill only applies when he is not all alone doing his own thing, where the rest of his teammates are all across the map. That is a little bit easier to kill him off because you have so many heroes there, but when he is with his team there, I mean, good luck trying to do that when you're dealing with Coil and Exorcism and LSA. It's just not going to happen that easily the next time, and it might be Pugna to drop actually down towards bottom. He's going to get Silence start things off. Coil is there. Here comes the Pudge. Looking to close in with Rot Dismember, and that's going to land, and that's going to be the death of the Pugna. Nice and crunchy there for the Pudge, and that's going to be a very easy free kill. He's sitting at 1,900 gold. Might be a Blink Dagger for the Pudge. If it is, things can get really dangerous for Qntk. They have to have good vision at all times, and to be fair, they do have some pretty decent vision right now, but the effective range that they need on all of their wards is going to be huge, and they have to give a lot of respect to the initiation power of a Pudge with any sort of mobility.
Yeah, Darkness of the Abyss for the Earthshaker is level 10, the same as Eknart's Pudge. He hasn't found anything since Bottle Tread's Blink, and when Eknart picks up this Blink, he's pretty much just as influential on the game as this Earthshaker is. He's got the casual cloak in tow. He's actually looking to opt perhaps for an Aghanim's, probably more so for the BKB with that Ogre Club. He's picked up a casual cloak as well for the bit of magic resistance value that it gives. Quista gonna group up bot lane with 2 more in Shadowway and Eknart, and they're gonna look to push down this tier 2 without even the help of a Bash. State 21 gonna rotate over with Yule's BKB and Exorcism at the ready.
This tower is going to die in a hurry unless Qntk assemble all their heroes down here right now, but looks like that's not going to happen. Tower trade in sight up towards top. They're going to use the enchant totem to try to claim a tower in response. Fortification going to slow the Radiant side down from their push, but this top lane tower is gone, and Death Prophet's packing an Exorcism level 2. This could be a case where SFZ want to go for a little bit more, and yes, Scary Faces will commit to the high ground push now, or at least try to force someone from Qntk to come back. Either way, they have Pudge for a high ground push and Death Prophet. I mean, Pudge is more of a slow, methodical pusher in that he's just fishing for kills, or they can just pop Exorcism and just go for it. That's good too. Qntk where's their initiation? Needs to be in the hands of a Blink Shaker, but even if it is there, you could maybe kill off State if you're fast. They're going to hookshot into Qwista, try to cog him back into an Echo Slam. Qwista going to pop the armlet though. Going to get Scythe doing a little bit of damage. He will drop down in the midst of everything. Coil a little bit too late there though. It does land onto 2. State dropping pretty low in the process. Needs more HP from his Exorcism return, but he will be able to get that eventually. It's a 2-for-1 so far. Qntk hold off a pretty good initiation from the Clockwork, bumping the Huskar back, acting as another stun, and everyone else from SFZ, with the exception of maybe Pudge, going to make it out alive.
Yeah, very nice zoning cogs there. No offensive Yules being able to be used by Abash there, and they can't keep up Qwista long enough, and definitely a hero we thought was immortal at this point, but they'll use the Scythe on him. It doesn't quite kill him off, drops him fairly low though. Abash may be vulnerable to a hook here. Well shot by Eknart. Light Strike and Array not going to be there, but they'll finish him off quickly with the Laguna Blade, knowing that support may be nearby. And T-Bon, from coming for the jungle, is looking fairly good. He's got a full soul booster now with that Midas Treads and the soul ring, so probably will build into this Bloodstone as we do see Qwista finally finish off that Satanic. He's had the Reaver in check for a while now, but perhaps with that up, he doesn't die quite as often as he has been.
It's not uncommon when Huskar is picked up for them to have a pretty good start, and then at a certain point they're just feeling unkillable and they get into one too many compromising situations one too many times. And not saying that that's exactly what's going on here for Qwista, since his start wasn't too astronomical, but you know what, he is still vulnerable enough if he gets caught too out of position. It'll take a lot of effort for Qntk to actually get the kill, but the rest of SFZ, they just couldn't get through the cogs in the last fight. The Death Prophet used their Exorcism mostly for the tower push, which is perfectly reasonable, but without that much gas to fight, with Huskar being their main source of damage output, Qntk take a good fight and hold the bottom lane for now. Tower is deniable, 14 HP, but right now SFC, they could go for Roshan. With Satanic on Huskar, it should be pretty easy for him to do it. Not the most damage on this hero, but he could probably still do it by himself or just with minor help from anyone else. And Qntk, they still have yet to make any sort of aggressive push of their own. Shaker's going to go up towards top and annihilate Abash with an Echo Slam, but that's actually a mediocre usage of Echo Slam at this point in the game.
Yeah, he had a nice little wave there to use that Echo Slam. Fisher first, blink in, Echo Slam, enchant, Totem Strike. Finishes off the Lina, but yeah, having that cooldown down just for Abash going down, this will probably allow them to go right into the Roche Pit. Eknart is going to scout it out. We'll probably see Qwista make his way down there fairly soon, and they know that Echo Slam is down. Hook was also used pretty optimistically by Giedrox. It is back off cooldown again, but he's kind of lucky to have not hit it. If he did, he would have ran into 3 heroes from Scary Faces in the jungle. Rocket Flare is going to scout this out from the side of Qntk, and Scary Faces perhaps will think better of it. A couple lucky bashes from Roshan are going to bring Qwista pretty low, and Giedrox does have the hook at the ready. Smoke is available as well. If Qwista runs out of this pit, they're going to jump in for it. They're going to find him. He's going to try and heal up. He'll get hooked here. Mystic Flare will be there. It's not doing much. It gets split between many. Reaper Scythe will be there. They're not going to finish anyone off, though, and they are eviscerating the lineup of Qntk. Double kill going the way of State 21. He's popped that Exorcism. They're looking for the last target. That is Axnar on the Pugna, and Cryptswarm Dragon Slave catches him on the edge. Will finish him off. Qwista finishing off Roshan in the meantime. They've got a little bit of this duration of the Exorcism, and State 21 will just use it to push out the wave a bit more, and perhaps they look to find a push immediately off this Roche. They are fairly low. No mana for Shadow Way at the moment, so even with 4 down, they probably will just back off, content with their spoils, and there we finally see the immortality of Huskar versus this magic heavy lineup.
And that's because Qntk invested a hell of a lot to try to kill off that Huskar. First of all, they jump a Mystic Flare on him, SFZ. They clump around the Mystic Flare. I don't know if that was intentionally the play or what, but it worked out so well in that the Huskar, first of all, he would have taken no damage from it and took less than no damage, I suppose. Then they threw a Scythe his way, which also didn't do anything. Pop the Satanic on Huskar, and all of a sudden he's getting a lot more life and he's losing in SFZ. Because everything went the way of the Huskar, nothing else was going to any of the other heroes. They were free to do whatever the hell they wanted. Qntk now facing down a double life Huskar, so he has a life to burn through where he's just right-clicking and suicidally going, and then he pops right back up, has Satanic, has Inner Vitality, has now a pipe back up on the Pudge. Qwista is going to be a one-man army charging down the mid lane right now, and Qntk, they have everything that they could possibly want to fight this one out. They have Echo Slam back from using it on Lina up towards top, but I don't think it'll be enough to save this tier 2 tower. And maybe SFZ they want to go for more. Actually, no, Death Prophet, not with the most mana, not with Exorcism, so it should just be a tier 2 tower here. But regardless, Roshan Aegis still in tow. They could go for the top lane if they really wanted to.
Yeah, certainly so. SFZ looking better and better as this game wears on. That engagement, certainly a turning point for them. Pipe, as you mentioned, finished now for Eknart. The curse of the Bloodstone unfortunately holds true for T-Bon. He picks it up and immediately dies. He's down to 5 charges on that. Axnar gonna try to TP out top lane. He's gonna get Yulesed up. Silence is there to follow, as well as the Crypt Swarm. He's probably gonna die fairly soon. He's able to mech up and stall things out. Maybe he goes for a Deep Crept Life Drain on state 21. He's gonna drop the Nether Ward and try to draw this out a bit, and it is gonna do quite a bit of damage. No Waning Rift quite yet. BKB gonna have to be popped by state 21. A little bit slow on the trigger was Shadow A, and state 21 having to use a BKB charge there, but certainly worth the kill on the Pugna. He's down for 50 seconds with no buyback.
Yeah, as you said, a little bit slow on the draw. That Puck could just instantly pop the Waning Rift, and probably would have killed off the Pugna. Definitely would have canceled off the Life Drain at the very least. Either way, Pugna down 40, and this top tier 2 tower, if it was not going to be defended with a whole 5-man squad, it's definitely not going to be defended being down the Nether Ward, which is probably the most impact the Pugna is going to have. Still, the Pugna hasn't really been pushing all that much, only 2 towers down. Maybe they're going to make it 3, maybe 4 if Qntk are lucky, but I don't think this push is going to stop. At this point, Death Prophet, though she doesn't have a BKB for another 25, she has Yule's Scepter, mana regeneration, so she's pretty much up to full, and she has Exorcism at the ready. Puck is going to teleport back to try to defend this. I don't really know if this is worth it.
He's going to look to cancel TPs.
Maybe cancel TP, yeah. IMXO is not going to be able to reinforce, and that's Scarith Mage, who's not only going to be unable to reinforce, but he's actually possibly going to go down here. Trying to go for Shadow in the meantime, will fail in doing so. Puck, not just messing with the Scarith Mage at this point. The objective for Puck now is just to stall out, and even if he dies, it's going to be fine, because the top lane is in full breach at this point. Pipe is up, and the Exorcism is going to town. Nether Ward is going to take a fall. Pudge looking for an angle and hook, but it's going to be Giedrox to launch the first hook. Echo Slam is going to connect, but the hook out on state. Going to bring him right back out to safety, as Quista is going to pop the Satanic first and just go to town everything, doing so much damage as Laguna Blade kills off the Earthshaker, who's going to fly back into this game. It's going to be Pugna to get Yules into the air. One more Crypt Swarm will kill him off. And still the Huskar is standing strong. Still he has the Aegis. Earthshaker doing what he can versus State, but once Quista gets his hands on the Shaker, it's all over. Oh, he's going to make it back to the Fountain, although I don't know if that's going to be safety necessarily. Hook's going to miss. The Raxes are still alive, but not for long. It's going to be the entirety of the top lane taken by SFZ. Maybe a couple more structures on the way out, or at the very least more kills. They're going to jump forward for another life break onto IMXO. Mystic Flare not going to do too much to Quista. He's going to get right back up to full HP with another proc of Satanic. And this Huskar now is actually just unkillable. Qntk, having only 3 heroes here, their best bet is to pray for a Scythe, but it's not even going to work on the Huskar. Giedrox going to hook shot in onto a Bash. Might get the kill on Lina. In the meantime, Quista is going to lose his Aegis. Lina's still alive versus Giedrox, but not for long. Can they kill off Huskar for the second time? He has no Satanic for another 12. He has no backup here. He's going to try to walk out, being mildly inconvenienced by Darkness and the Abyss. He'll try to TP out from underneath this Huskar. Cogs will bail him out. It looks like Quista's going to be surviving for a little while longer, but here comes the Pugna. I don't know if you want to be doing this. Decrepify going to slow down the Huskar, but not really do too much outside of that. Giedrox going to close in. Quista now has backup. He's going to pop everything that he has and just turn around for Giedrox, hooking out the Pugna so that Pudge just has his way with him. Darkness of the Abyss is going to jump in for a couple stuns on Quista, but he still has a lot of lifesteal going, and they just can't kill off this Huskar at this point. Mystic Flare even being dropped, but he's still alive. He's finally going to go down. IMXO not being focused actually by State, being warded away by Tibon. Needs a couple more right clicks. Maybe it's the Aura that kills him off, but here comes Eknar. Doesn't have any more mana. The Aura will not kill off the Death Prophet, and Pudge has to make his retreat as well. Still, it's a Rax taken, and Tibon might be able to collect one more kill if he's very lucky, but it doesn't seem like that is a very high possibility right now. He really wants Eknar, but that's not going to happen. Top lane of Rax is taken, and SFC, they could just rinse and repeat and go for that next time, or just go in right away onto Tibon. They're going to miss the LSA, however. That's going to mean no kill potential is there. Do they really want to go for this? Probably not worth it, but wait for Huskar, then go again seems like to be the play for SFZ, and then it's going to be that much harder for Qntk to defend.
Yeah, still over 2 minutes until the minimum respawn time for Roche here, so they can't retreat back into that. But as you said, they can certainly regroup and look to go high ground once again. Some very nice plays top lane. Good hook from Eknard to bring the Death Prophet out of the cogs, allow him to get out of combat. That heart regen kicking in as well. And State 21 looking very good on the Death Prophet. Overall, second on net worth, 15k net worth, 3k ahead of T-Bon, the jungling Necrophos, and nobody else even close for the side of Qntk. Hook in, Echo Slam onto State. Hook's actually going to miss from Giedrox. Hook will not be there as the BKB was popped. Waning Rift on 2, however. Reaper Sight's going to be dodged by the Eul Scepter. Is that even possible? Giedrox going to drop low. State going to go down first, though. Exorcism was used. Aknar trying to bring down Darkness CWS, but the life drain from Axnar keeping him up. Well played by the Pugna. Jump in from Shadowway. He won't be able to finish off the Pugna. Waning Rift is too late. Laguna Blade will be there to take down the Earthshaker. But the Skywrath Mage going down in the meantime, and they're going to feed over Eknart, Shadowway, and State 21. Quista looking to re-engage here onto 3. It will be a 3 versus 2 if he goes in, but excellent play from Pugna there, keeping up his Earthshaker as long as he did with the life drain.
I have no idea why SFZ decided to go in without their Huskar. It seemed like it just got a little bit too out of hand, a little bit too quickly, and if they were maybe had a little bit more presence of mind, they would have said, okay, wait, we don't have our Huskar here. This is really bad. We should back off. And Huskar, unfortunately, was not able to contribute to the fight at all. If he was there, clean sweep for SFZ, no questions asked. But deciding to take that fight, and Qntk getting a free break. However, losing their courier, which had a completed sheepstick on Tibon. That is so many layers of unfortunate. A sheepstick would be a fantastic tool at dealing with Huskar. At least just sheep him and ignore him at the very least could be a nice way of answering it. But that's not going to be up for another 3 minutes. And, well, SFZ, they have an Exorcism coming back online in a minute. And that's going to be knocking on the front door of Qntk on the bottom lane with the rest of the team there as well. This is going to be really hard for Qntk to defend. They'll have the Echo Slam, but no Sheepstick is really a killer.
Yeah, a little bit of luck for them is that Roshan will not be up until around the same time the courier is up. So they should have that Scythe device for the next Roche fight. But it could be Scary Faces just marching up high ground. You saw 4v5 how well they did. So imagine with Quista present how much that bodes well for their team fight here. And Quista walking down bottom lane, he's picked up a Basher as well, perhaps on his way to an Abyssal. Not sure if that'll be completed before the game ends. Darkness of the Abyss farming up the enemy jungle, does have a TP, still needs about 2,000 until his full Daedalus has the recipe in his stash, but he's not going to have time to farm that up as SFZ queuing the aggression as the tier 3 is denied by T-Bon, was only 1 hit away from being killed, so he's going to deny up that gold. Quista going to be the battering ram on the high ground, jump farm from Shadowway, instant recall by the Fisher there. Hook is going to whiff from Eknar. BKB pop from Shadowway. He'll get a coil on 2. Instant mech up. There's a hook in the backlines onto State 21. He'll pop the Exorcism. Nice force staff back into the cogs by Eknar, and Giedrox will go down here. Meanwhile, on the backlines, Laguna Blade was used. IMXO going to have to buy back here. Eknar looking for a hook. He'll find it on T-Bon right into the Exorcism. There goes the Necrophos. There's 3 down without buyback now. Pugna going to be used up into the air. GG is called. He'll decrep himself. He'll get hit with an LSA. Exorcism going to finish him off. Hook onto the Skywrath as well. Quista going to man up with the Satanic popped in the fountain. Game not going to go long enough to see if he survives, but either way, very well played in Game 2 and Game 3 from Scary Faces. They'll take down Qntk, who looked very good in Game 1, but unfortunately does fall here. 2-1 victories in their 2 best of 3s in the lower bracket so far for Scary Faces. They'll move on to face the winner of Moscow 5 versus BBC, which we have coming up next. Mike Loris, any last thoughts on this Game 3?
And that Huskar just got way out of control, but Qntk, it's a fault in their draft. They had no physical damage. I didn't see the impact of the Pugna at all in this game.
Yeah.
They tried to shuffle around with the jungling Necrophos to try to get some value out of it, but if they had any sort of hero that could do physical, it would be so much easier for them. But well played by Scary Faces. They make the correct pick, and it's not often that you say that the Huskar pick is the correct one.
Yeah, definitely so. So 2-1 victory for Scary Faces, guys, at 2 CET, which is 5 minutes from now. We will have the next series. That's Moscow 5 International versus BBC. So stick around in the stream, grab something to eat. We'll have a next best of 3 coming up for you on HeflaTV. Thanks for joining us, guys.